I wasted my 20s, or at least that's what I thought until I discovered this truth about age, success, and why everything you've been told about being behind is designed to keep you average. At 110 kilos, watching her lose attraction, bouncing between different jobs at 30, I felt like my life was over. And about 12 months, 2 years later, I'm living the life that most 20-year-olds would dream about. Here's exactly what changed. But first, let me tell you the lie that almost destroyed my 30s. I used to think that 30s was my deadline, like there was this invisible timer just counting down. And if I hadn't made it by then, successful business, perfect relationship, dream body, I was officially behind. I was looking at all these guys who seemed to have their shit together. The ones with successful businesses, the ones who never gained relationship weight, the ones who just seemed to just know what they were doing. And I'm sitting there thinking, what's wrong with me? Why haven't I figured this out yet? So I did a bit of research and I'll share with you what, I guess, made me angry at how you've been programmed, or how I was programmed. I felt this crushing pressure that I was just running out of time. That if I didn't turn everything around immediately, I'd be one of those guys who never lived up to his potential. And the worst part was that the stories I was telling myself, you should have started earlier, you should have known better. Everyone else your age is already ahead. But here's what I've learned about these stories. They're not just wrong, they're designed to keep you stuck. So I got obese. I spent months researching this because what I found will make you question everything you believe about success, age, and timing. Is 30 actually late? Are the best years really behind us? What I discovered completely changed my perspective. Society convinces you that 30 is old because they need you to be desperate and compliant. A confident 30-year-old man who knows his worth, that's their worst nightmare. The timeline you think you're behind on was designed to keep you average. And here's the part that'll blow your mind about brain development. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that is responsible for decision-making, impulse control, long-term planning, doesn't actually fully develop until around 25. So that means everything before 25 is just practice. So you're literally operating with an incomplete brain. Your 20s was practice. Your 30s are the game. Through my own journey and connecting with other men going through this, I've noticed the same pattern everywhere. And here's what's actually happening in your 30s that makes this decade so powerful. You finally have enough life experience to know what doesn't work. All those mistakes in your 20s, they weren't failures, they're just data. Your brain is fully developed, which means you can make better long-term decisions. You're not just reactive anymore, you can be strategic. This next insight literally saved my life. You understand compound effects. When you're 22, waiting 5 years for something to pay off feels impossible. When you're 32, you realize 5 years is nothing if you're building something real. Most importantly, you're done trying to impress everyone. The peer pressure that made you chase the wrong things in your 20s, it starts to fade. You start to not give a fuck about that anymore. You can finally ask yourself, what do I actually want? Not what do I think I should want? What would actually make me proud of the man I see in the mirror? 20-year-olds have energy. 30-year-olds have energy plus wisdom. Now that's a devastating combo. Here's where most men get it wrong. They try to fix their entire life from the inside out. Most men waste their 30s the same way they wasted their 20s, trying to fix their problems with their mind instead of their body. It doesn't work. You see, the fastest way to rebuild your confidence, your discipline, your identity, your entire identity as a man, is to start with your body. When I went from 110 kilos to 80 kilos, peak condition, everything else followed. Not because I suddenly looked better, but because the process of transforming your body teaches you that you can just trust yourself again, that you're no longer a fraud, a liar. You're a man of his word. Wait until you hear what happens when you combine this with fitness. See, every day that you train, you're proving to yourself that you can do what you say you're going to do. Physical strength builds mental strength. You can't separate the two. And look, I'm building something to help men who are going through this exact situation, similar to what I went through. If you're ready to stop feeling behind and you want to start building the life that you actually want, let's work. I'm opening up a few strategy calls this week for men who are done making excuses and are ready to prove themselves what they're actually capable of. Links below. Book it if you're serious about transforming, not just curious about it. And here's a framework that changes everything. The panic you feel about being late is actually your intuition telling you it's time to get serious. Not desperate, serious. There's a difference between pivoting and quitting. Quitting says, this isn't working, so nothing will work. Pivoting says, this isn't working, but I learned something valuable. Your advantage in your 30s is that you can build for the long term. You're not trying to get rich quick or famous overnight. Just start with your body. Not because looks matter most, but because the process teaches you everything that you need to know about discipline and following through on it. Stop trying to make up for lost time. Start using the time that you have right now. And here's what I wish someone had told me when I was 30. The difference between men who thrive after 30 and men who just survive is this. They stop comparing their chapter 3 to someone else's highlight reel. They realize that feeling behind isn't a problem to solve. It's just fuel to use. If you're ready to stop feeling behind and you want to start building the life that you actually want, let's talk. This isn't about quick fixes. This is about building a system that actually works whether you feel like it or not. Book that call. Let's figure out exactly what your next 5 years are going to look like when you stop making excuses and start making progress. The next 5 years are going to pass whether you like it or not. You're going to get older. The only question is whether you look back with pride or regret. Your window isn't closing, it's opening, but only if you walk through it. Tell me in the comments what you're building for the next 5 years. Hit subscribe for more honest conversations about becoming the man that you're supposed to be. Your 30s aren't your consolation prize for not figuring it out in your 20s. They're your competitive advantage. Use them. I'll see you in the next one.